What we don't know is, what does Venezuela's political future hold now? Joining me is Vanessa Neumann. She is a former Venezuelan opposition diplomat. I want to thank you for being with us. As you know, in the last few months, many have continued to try and keep the spotlight on Venezuela, except for the Trump administration, which says things are moving along so well. That is what we hear from President Trump time and again. So you tell us, because the Trump administration does point to the fact that Delcy Rodriguez has in fact released some political prisoners, and that there is the beginning of some foreign investment, and the economy is slowly but surely getting better. What do you think?
Well, thank you for having me on again. It's a pleasure and an honor. But let me tell you, I agree with most of what you said. So it is complicated in the sense that things have not changed for the average Venezuelan, for most of the average Venezuelans, right? I still have friends and family down there, and there's a lot of fear of repression. So much fear of repression that some people are afraid to even talk to me or write to me or have anything to do, because they are still seizing people randomly, away from the eyes of the media, away from the eyes of the Trump administration, and throwing them in and having them being tortured. We did have a big political opposition figure tortured to death this week, and so that still happens. These random these random captures. So it's still very much a dictatorial tyranny. On the other hand, we do see some inklings of economic improvement, but very small, because US dollars, non-narco dollars, non-sanctioned dollars have started flowing. You do see things like local providers starting to provide some medication, or some herbs, or even some agriculture to shops, right? So now you're starting to see some local benefit.
And,
And
and
yet, major infrastructure still collapses. I mean, we have the electricity that even these oil majors need for the pipelines and for their infrastructure is still collapsing. And that is the effect of almost 3 decades of kleptocracy.
but Vanessa, I have to ask you, do you believe that the Trump administration will tolerate this, not just for months, but for years, for as long as they're in power? Because once again, as David Culver just showed us as well, there is a veneer of freedom, but still very much so that fear that you can't even speak out even against the economy without consequences.
Yeah, I think that's right. And I've said this time and again, and I would hope that I'm wrong, because I'm a Venezuelan American, and there's many others like me who will always support the people who speak out for freedom and democracy in Venezuela, whoever that leader may be, whether in the tyranny or in the pro-democracy movement. However, I fear that the reality is that Venezuela will end up as hopefully, at least hopefully, prosperous dictatorship. I do not see a medium to long term shift to democracy. I hope it happens. I want it to happen. I just don't see that it will. And in addition to that, we see that there's Venezuelan has been newly appointed to something called UCC Holding, to push investment from the Qataris into Venezuela, and named by Al Hayat. The Al Hayat brothers are linked to the emir and the father of the emir of Qatar, and they were originally Syrian in 2010, re-registered as Qataris in 2011, and have named this Venezuelan.
Right.
And
And so,
he is in the middle of the negotiation with the Trump administration.
and
So
we,
I do not see democracy coming anytime soon.
yeah, and what you're pointing to, Vanessa, is obviously the continuation of a lot of what we saw under the Maduro regime. Vanessa Neumann, we will have to leave it there for now, but thanks. Appreciate it. Now,